Hello everyone. I am painting some little flowers, of course. And so I thought I would paint those with you. I'm using my Lang. Let me give it a little spritz here. There we go. If you're using pans, that's always what you want to do. And I think today, I love rose red. I love all the Paul Rubens My Lang colors. They're so, like, I wish you could see them. They're like creamy. They're almost like a dessert. They're so nice and creamy. So I'm going to put a little bit of that. That's a deeper red, which I'm going to combine here. I've got my 2 containers of water as well, one to wash, one to rinse, really important. And I've got a number 8 round brush. This is mine, but the Velvet Touch is awesome. I've used that for years, and I'll link it below for you. And then I've got my Meeden paper, which I see I just dripped. There we go. Love the Meeden Artisto, is fabulous. Make sure you're using 140-pound cold press. And let's see, let's get a little pink on here, of course. So I'm going to put, making sure I'm loading the side of my brush, not the tip. Little water in there, so we got a nice movable texture. And let's go in. I'm going to use the tip of my brush and kind of pulling to the side, just like that. And we'll go over that with a little bit more. There we go. I like leaving a lot of white space, and I also like using the tip of my brush. So a little bit more of that water. There we go. My favorite flower. I'll do some darker petals in the background there. And then I'm going to go in there and tap in, tap, 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 with some of that red. I just think red and pink are so gorgeous together. Just like that. Yeah, I like that. And then I'll go in here with some of my brown. Ooh, yeah, I like that. And I'm just I'm using light pressure and curving around like that. Might add in a little bit more dark. Tap, tap, tap. Maybe some little nubs. There we go. But look how pretty that dark with the flower. And the red, if you let the watercolors sit, they'll blend on their own. And now I think I'll just go in with another flower coming out here. So I'll use, again, picking up that paint, tap, tap, tap. Do you see all that water that came off? Point press, really pressing into the side of my brush. Point press. There we go. And leaving some white space. Now before that dries, I'll go into the red, but I don't want to just load my brush and go in. That would be too much. So tap, tap, tap. And now again, I'll let it blend on its own. Just leave it. And now maybe go in with a really light value. So this is probably 80% water, 20% pigment. And I'm going to create a petal over here. So point press, opening up that belly, point press, leaving some white space in there. Maybe that one's opening up a little bit. And I could still tap in a tiny bit, not too much, tap, tap, tap. like that with that red, and then just let it be. But look at the beautiful blend as I let this stay here. It really does its own thing. And then let's come out here with another one. So I'll pick up some more of that pink. And let's create, let's see, we'll create an open flower. So I think to do that, I'll actually tap, 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 pick up some of that red, tap, tap, tap some of that off, and let's create, let's make it open. Sorry for that camera shake. So what I'm going to do here is that's the center of my flower and it's face on. These are kind of to the side. So what I'm going to do is rinse my brush, tap it off on a paper towel, pick up that light value, and let's pull out like that. Leave that white space. I feel like I need a little bit more of that red in there. Rinse my brush, grab some of that, point press, swirl around. There we go. Some more. Point press, leaving that white space. And now while that's still damp, pick up some of the redder, tap, 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 some of that paint off. Look how pretty. There we go. Just using the tip of my brush, and I'm going to put one more petal over here. So rinse my brush, tap it off, and let's grab some more of that pink paint. And I made that a lighter value, which I kind of like. I think I might even add another. To be honest, I don't even know what this flower is, you guys. I'm just kind of going for it. Tap, tap, tap. Let's make a petal right here. Use the tip of my brush, and I'm going to go in that center again. I don't want too much water on my brush because this is already wet. And let's just tap into the center. Isn't that pretty? So that petal, that flower is face on. And then we'll go into that with a little bit of black. Let's create a few leaves here. So we'll go into our green, put some of that on my palette. That's really thick, so I want to add water. So it's pretty movable. Tap, tap, tap. And let's create some leaves here. So let's see, we'll create maybe a little leaf here, point press, point press. I don't want anything too much or competing with what we got here. Tap, tap, tap. Point press, point press. Pretty simple. Might tap in just a tiny bit with some of that brown. And then I'm going to go in while that's a little bit drier now with just, let's go in, let's try some Prussian blue. Loading my brush from the side, that's really dark. I'm going to add some water to that. Definitely tap, 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 because that's a lot of water I've got on there. And there we go. And we'll create a few more flowers. So rinse, wash my brush, rinse my brush, tap it off on my towel, and let's go in and create a couple more leaves. Really movable here, about 50 paint, 50 water. And let's create a leaf here, point press, swirl it around, point press, add a little bit more in there, and create that little stem. There we go. Isn't that cute? I feel like I want a little branch maybe with some buds on it. Something like that. And then we'll go in, wash my brush, rinse my brush, tap it off on the towel. Something like that. I think that's kind of cute. Maybe some, oh, we have berries right here. So I kind of like that. I think that's really a cute little arrangement. Just tapping in with some of my red paint. If I really wanted to create, I think this is just fine like it is, but I could always go in with a really dark value. Oh, you know what? Let's add a little leaf here. Like that. There we go. Just a little bit more interest. I could go in with a really dark value, and let me show you that. So loading my brush. Now it's pretty thick. That's more like you hear that milk consistency. And we could go in and kind of darken a few stems or a few petals. We could actually darken those like that. We could darken a couple petals, point press. Just create some little lines there, and it just creates a little bit of interest. Point press. Just using the tip of my brush. So notice how as well, this is a good experiment in when you add a darker value, it's going to really pop out. Now I'm getting a little bit of bloom there because I went in with wetter pigment than what was on my paper as well. It wasn't completely dry. If it was completely dry, it wouldn't move at all. Let's go in with a tiny bit more. Dot it in here, maybe around the edges, and see what we get. So there you go, kind of playing with white space, playing with different amounts of water and paint, and you can kind of see the difference it makes as far as popping it out. And I hope you give this a try. I think this would be really pretty with maybe some splatters. Anytime you do splatters too, really make it quite watery. And look how pretty that is. All right, there you go. Have fun. I think it's a little bit reminiscent of a cherry blossom. I feel like I want to go in there and kind of scrape out the center because cherry blossoms have that fun center there. So there you go. Have fun, and thank you so much for being here. I love the emails. I love the positivity here and that you guys are really having some fun. And I will see you soon. I'll be right here to remind you, you are an artist.